Welcome back, my lovely little pixelated friends. This one is the top 30 arcade conversions to the humble ZX Spectrum. Now, I know what you're thinking. Mark, these games are over 30 years old. Why are you talking about them? Well, the classics never die. And this top 30 I presented for you is no exception. Now, once upon a time, gaming was all about the ZX Spectrum. Now, I don't know about you, but back in the day, I spent more hours on my ZX Spectrum and Amstrad CPC than I care to admit. So, when I got the chance to relive those glory days and share them with you all, I jumped at it. And any excuse I get to talk about the games and the sheer joy of this iconic machine, in my book, that's time well spent. So, whether you're a specky veteran or a curious newbie, sit back, grab some snacks, and let's get our retro gaming on.
Sinclair's new ZX Spectrum Action Pack has a powerful 128K home computer, a joystick, 6 very different games, and a deadly accurate light gun.
Keep on running, keep on hiding, keep on running, keep on hiding.
That'll keep those droids on the run. The new Sinclair Action Pack puts the zap back into computers.
So, let me tell you about Raston on the ZX Spectrum. It was a proper little gem, it really was. The way the little chap would run and jump and hack his way through the hordes of monsters was just a joy to behold. The game designers really knew what they were doing, the graphics were top notch, and the gameplay was absolutely addictive. I remember spending hours on end playing Raston, and I never once got bored. It's a proper little belter, it really is. Now this is one that really gets the adrenaline pumping. Now I know some people might say that the graphics and sound effects were a bit basic, and they'd be right, but you know what? It didn't matter. The gameplay was so addictive and exciting that you didn't even notice. You always felt like you were racing against someone though, even when you were playing on your own, and that's what makes a great racing game, I think, the sense of competition. And of course it's best played in the arcade. But even this ZX Spectrum conversion will get your heart racing and your competitive spirit fired up. Flipping love this game, Shadow Warriors. Now this wasn't a game you could just breeze through. You had to work for your victories. And that's what makes a great fighting game, a great action game, a great ninja game, a sense of challenge, which is pretty much every Ninja Gaiden game ever released. And even today, it'll test your skills and keep you on the edge of your seat. So for me personally, in my humble opinion, it's a real classic, and it's one I'll probably still be playing years from now. I loved Super Hang-On on the ZX Spectrum. I love racing games, especially bike racing games. And back in the 80s, they didn't come much better, much faster than Sega's Super Hang-On. You were literally racing around the arcade tracks at breakneck speeds. And yes, there was a good sense of speed. In fact, the only thing missing was the feel of wind passing through your hair. So Super Hang-On for me was all about going as fast as you could, and the rush you got when you hit that top speed, it was just incredible. I'd love to know what the arcade accurate conversion rate is for the ZX Spectrum, because nearly every game I play is freaking awesome. Now, I know what you're thinking, not another racing game. And I know the graphics were a bit basic, like something you'd see on an old calculator or something. And the sound effects, well, they weren't anything to write home about either. But the thing is, the gameplay was actually kind of fun. As you do, you had to keep your car on the track and avoid the other racers, and that was the real challenge. Now, I've got to say, the graphics were pretty good for the time. I mean, it's no PlayStation 5 or anything, but it's not bad. And I'm sure the version I used to play had music, and the sound effects don't make you want to stick a fork in your ears. And the thing is, the gameplay was actually really fun. It did get pretty challenging after a while though, the difficulty level kept ramping up, and some of the levels were really hard. But I guess that just made it more satisfying when you finally beat them. Yet another great arcade conversion where you've got to dodge bullets and blow up the bad guys. Now I know what you're thinking, it's not exactly Time Crisis or anything, but you'll just have to take my word for it. This was an absolute belter back in the day. And it's on the list because I think Cabell on the ZX Spectrum is a decent game. It's not the best shoot 'em up, I know, but it's not the worst either. And if you're into your arcade style games and you're looking for something to kill some time, give it a go. Just don't expect too much from the graphics and sound department. Now I'm not sure if this would make anybody's top list for arcade conversions, but I really like it. You play as a cop who's trying to take down a bunch of drug dealers and criminals, and you've got to do this with all kinds of weapons, from pistols to rocket launchers. It's proper Rambo Stallone stuff. It's like you're in your own little action movie. So it's a great game. It's got all the core elements of a classic arcade shooter. There's intense action, it's challenging, there's epic boss battles, and if you're into the old school games and you're looking for a real challenge, give it a go. I've played Gauntlet on absolutely every system known to man. Naturally I prefer the arcade version, but the ZX Spectrum and the Amstrad CPC arcade conversions, for me, are absolutely fantastic. I kid you not, it had everything you could want in a game. Graphics that were surprisingly good for the Spectrum, smooth controls, and an infinite supply of enemies to mow down. Gauntlet also came with a multiplayer mode, practically unheard of back in the day, 4 players. Join Bub and Bob, they're on the rob. It was a game that was so good, it was like a warm blanket on a winter's night. A cross between Super Mario and Bubble Bath, except instead of water, you had dragons and bubbles. It was cute, and it's still lovable. And even now the controls are really tight and responsive, and the gameplay is simple, yet still addictive. It's like trying to stop eating a bag of Skittles after just one handful. Now let's talk about one of the coolest games to ever hit the ZX Spectrum, Chase HQ. Now if you know me, you'll know that I love speed and excitement, and this game has it all. You play as a police officer chasing down criminals in a high-speed car chase. You'll need to manoeuvre your car through traffic, take tight turns, and catch up to your targets before they get away. So let's buckle up and take a ride into the world of Chase HQ. To start off, I must say, this is intense. You basically play as a soldier on a mission to rescue hostages and take down enemy forces. You have to shoot your way through waves of enemies while dodging their bullets and grenades. It's not easy, but it's incredibly satisfying when you finally complete a level. It's like your living room has been transformed into a war zone. And even today, it's a thrilling pulse panic experience that should, in theory, even today, keep you on the edge of your seat. Oh god, I love Bomb Jack, but what really sets Bomb Jack apart is its gameplay. It's a perfect balance of strategy and reflexes, like a game of chess played at warp speed. You'll need to plan your moves carefully to collect all the bombs in the right order, but you'll also need lightning fast reflexes to avoid the enemies that keep trying to stop you. But honestly, play it once and you'll be hooked faster than a fish on a line. Now, first off, I must admit, I'm not really a sports person myself, per se. I'm more of a cream tea sort of guy. But even so, Hypersports is a pretty good game. And the best part is, you don't even have to be good at sports to enjoy it. In fact, I'm quite rubbish at most events, but I still had a whale of a time playing this. So if you are a couch potato like me, there's something here for everyone. So put on your sweatbands, grab your joystick, and let's get sporty. What a fantastic game. Now, Arkanoid is one of those games that takes us right back to the 1980s, when mullets were all the rage and neon was king. So this game is just pure fun. It's like a time capsule from the 1980s, when everything was loud and colourful and a little bit cheesy. And when you hit that power up that gives you a bigger paddle or multiple balls, I mean, it's like finding a hidden stash if you know what. And the sound is good as well. It's all bleeps and bloops that make you feel like you're in a cheesy sci-fi movie. Oh my, this one is a proper blast from the past. You must punch, kick and headbutt your way through hordes of bad guys, using every trick in the book. It's one of the best nights out you can have on a ZX Spectrum. And then there's the music. Oh, the sweet music. Renegade's theme tune is an absolute banger. It's like a cross between the Rocky theme and Unskinny Bop. But get this, I've been rescuing the same woman for 3 decades now. You can't have a top specky arcade conversions without Commando. Yes, it's like Rambo, but without the muscles or the headbands. But the thing about Commando on the ZX Spectrum, or any arcade conversion, is that it's really hard. I mean seriously hard. You're gonna die a lot. But that's okay, because the death is just part of the game, part of the experience. You respawn and you keep going. Like a little digital phoenix rising from the ashes. Ah, Spy Hunter. Now, the graphics are a bit basic, I won't lie to you, but that's to be expected with a game from the 1980s. The sound effects are decent. I'm not sure they add much to the overall experience, but let me tell you, there's nothing quite like the feeling of smashing through a barricade and taking out a whole bunch of enemy cars in one go. And we can all see for ourselves, it might not be the flashiest or the most sophisticated game out there, but it's a lot of fun and it'll give you a taste of what gaming was like way back in the day. First of all, the graphics are quite impressive for the ZX Spectrum. Colourful backgrounds and characters really pop out. The animation is not the smoothest, but it's well done. But what I appreciate about Rainbow Islands is that it's a challenging game, but not in a frustrating way. So I think Rainbow Islands is a really solid game for the ZX Spectrum, and it's got great graphics, fun gameplay, and a unique mechanic that sets it quite apart from other platformers. And it must be good because I can't stop playing it some 2-3 decades later, and my kids like it as well. Ah, Green Beret, on another day this could have been number 1, but trust me, this is difficult. I have to admit though, right from the get-go, you really do feel like you're on a mission deep behind enemy lines, and there's never a dull moment. But essentially, this is a game where split-second decisions can make all the difference. And trust me, if you ever finally make it to the end and take out the final boss, there's a real sense of accomplishment. It's got everything you could want in a war-themed action game, and more. The 80s and early 90s were obsessed with bouncing balls. And after revisiting this recently, I can see why. The first time I ever played this was on an Amstrad GX4000, and that blew me away. I know, I'm serious though, I'm being deadly serious, it was brilliant. And like that version, it's simple but addictive, and as you progress through the levels it gets proper tricky, but the thing that really sets this one apart is the 2-player mode. So get a mate round and you'll be laughing your heads off as you try to pop each other's bubbles. UN Squadron is a classic arcade style shooter game that still holds up today. With its tight controls, great graphics and sound, variety of missions and planes, and a high replay value, it's easy to see why this game was such a hit back in the day. If you are a fan of shooter games or just looking for fun and challenging gameplay, then I highly recommend giving UN Squadron a try. Now I don't know if it's just me, but the graphics look absolutely fantastic. I mean, come on, this was 1990 on a ZX Spectrum. Now, I was never a fan of Enduro Racer in the arcade. Yes, it had the novelty because of the handlebars and this, that and the other, but it was the ZX Spectrum where I really enjoyed it the most. Like most games, there's a few downsides. The sound is a bit weak and the difficulty can be a bit unforgiving. One mistake and you'll be right up against it. But when you consider the thrill of the ride, these are just minor quibbles. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that this is one of the best arcade conversions to the ZX Spectrum. Now, Flying Shark is another classic shooter that'll have you hooked in no time. And this is one of those games where you'll need to upgrade your weapons and power-ups if you're to stand anything that resembles a chance. It's a cracking game on the ZX Spectrum. It's got great graphics, solid sound and addictive gameplay. And it's a classic shoot 'em up that's well worth your time, even today. What a fantastic arcade conversion for the humble ZX Spectrum. Now, don't let the graphics fool you. This game packs a serious punch. And I can't work out which one I prefer, this or Ghouls and Ghosts. They're both unbelievable arcade conversions. And I played the tape out of both of them, but I think this is the one I always went back to the most. And this one, well, both really, are not for the faint-hearted. Extremely tough games. And it's not for everyone. If you're looking for an easy ride, you're in the wrong place. I had Bionic Commando for the Amstrad CPC, but it was a bit of a disaster. For one, it was bugged as hell. 2, you had to wade through like treacle. And 3, there was no music. But there's a 4th as well. The end of level boss you couldn't beat. It was bugged. Damn you to hell, US Gold! But on the ZX Spectrum, it was a completely different game altogether, and one of the best arcade conversions I've ever played. Talking about one of the best arcade conversions ever played, how about this one? Midnight Resistance. Oh, I tell you what, the ZX Spectrum, when it came to arcade conversions, lived a charmed life. Honestly, on any other day, this could have been number 1, easily, without question. This is the best we could have hoped for, from the standard run and gun style shoot 'em up. Sure, I could point out a few things, but really, considering the whole package, I'd just be nitpicking. So repeat after me, I love this game. Cowabunga dudes, it's pizza time! Easily one of the best. One of the best games I've ever played. I just can't get enough of it. I'm absolutely mad for it. And it plays just like the arcade original. I've got no idea how the programmers even pulled something like this off. It's games like this that delayed me from upgrading to 16-bit, because with games like this quality, the 8-bits were still a viable gaming platform. Let me add affordable to that. Ikari Warriors is why it's probably impossible to do a list like this. The quality of these arcade conversions are just too good. The quality's there for everybody to see. It's a fantastic game, brilliant graphics, it's got the speed of the arcade original. In fact, all of these games are a testament to not only the ZX Spectrum hardware, but also to the clever buggers banging away at the keyboard that produce these results. So what an unbelievable back catalogue of arcade conversions the humble ZX Spectrum has got. It had to be, didn't it? Bob Pape's R-Type. It has no equal. It's a 1 in a million on the ZX Spectrum. The likes we'll never see or witness again. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, or a big massive thank you. Right, I've got to go. I'm absolutely shattered. This video took what feels like a millennia to make. So until next time, bye!